Methods of development. Cause and effect. Noting a relationship between actions or events such that one or more are the result of the others or others. Induction versus deduction. Deduction reasoning based on generally accepted principles, and inductive reasoning in which general principles are framed from observed events. Deductive and inductive sides are usually complementary to one another. Deductive is general to specific, and inductive is specific to general. Chronological. Ideas, events, or items are arranged in the order in which they occur, using words like next, then, the following, still later, by noon, when she was 17, that April. Problem and solution. A method for analyzing and writing about a topic by identifying a problem and identifying one or more solutions. Compare and contrast. You present your information on one of the subjects you are comparing, and then, introduced by an appropriate transition word or phrase such as similarly, or, on the other hand, you present the corresponding information for the second component of the comparison. Tone can be found by picking a word, backing it up with a quote, and something about diction. Rhetoric devices. Chiasmus, spelt chiasmus. A cross-arrangement in two successive groups of words, the order of the second group in the reverse of that in this first group. Example, he saved others, himself he could not save. Paradox. An apparently contradictory statement that is nonetheless true. Example, we little know what we have until we lose it. Oxymoron. A figure of speech consisting of two apparently contradictory terms. Example, parting is such a sweet sorrow. The contradictory terms would be sweet and sorrow. Rhetorical question. A question asked but requiring no answer from the readers. These are used to introduce topics or to emphasize important points. Example, is violence an appropriate response to a child's disobedience? Antithesis. Contrast two ideas by juxtaposing them, often in parallel structure. Example, to err is human, to forgive divine. Hyperbole. Exaggeration in the service of truth. Example, Shakespeare's mind eclipses the rest of human thought. Understatement or litotes. Deliberate diminishing of something either for ironic emphasis or for polite, tactful reasons. Example, of his record-shattering career, Gretzky commented, it was a pretty good run. Parallelism. Expressing ideas simply and logically by arranging words, phrases, clauses, or sentences in a balanced grammatical structure. Example, I came, I saw, I conquered. Allusion, spelt with an A at the beginning. A brief reference to mythology, history, or literal in order to clarify or add meaning. The presumption is that the reader will be familiar with the person, place, thing, or event to which the writer is referring. Example, it was a Garden of Eden without the snake. Apophasis, A-P-O-P-H-A-S-I-S. Assert something by pointedly seeming to ignore it. Example, we will not even discuss the generosity, her compassion, or her modesty. It is the contribution to political life that concerns us here. Alliteration, spelt with an A. The repetition of initial consonant sounds. Example, he's a snide and sneaky snake. Irony. The use of words to suggest something that differs from their literal meaning. The term refers to the contrast between approach and reality. Example, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in the want of a wife. Antiphrasis, spelt Antiphrasis. One-word irony established by context. Example, "You must be joking," roared the convicted murderer to the judge. Epizeuxis, spelt Epizeuxis. Repetition of one word for emphasis. Example, in investing in a home, the three most important considerations are location, location, and location. Anecdote. A brief, unadorned narrative about particular person or incident in order to illustrate a point. Imagery. All writers attempt to create sensual impressions with language. It is the physical world recreated in the intangible world of print. Writers try to utilize all of the senses, appealing to the reader's taste, touch, sight, smell, and hearing. Symbolism. A symbol is a person, place, or thing that represents both itself and something beyond itself. For example, in literature, the rose represents youth, beauty, and love, while the yew tree is a symbol of wisdom and age. Euphemism. A pleasant way of expressing something unpleasant. Example, he passed on instead of he died. Pathos. Again, pathos. The quality of a literature work that evokes a feeling of pity, tenderness, and sympathy from the reader or the audience. Overdone or misused pathos becomes mere sentimentality. Satire. A type of writing that holds up a person's ideas or things to varying degrees of amusement, ridicule, or contempt, in order, presumably, to improve, correct, or bring about some desirable change. Humor. The use of amusing situations, characters, or languages to provide enjoyment and often to make a point. Repetition. The use of a word, phrase, or expression more than once for emphasis. Deduction. Reasoning from the general to specific, from stated premise to conclusion that follows necessary. Induction. Reasoning from the specific to general, examining some examples and concluding with a generalization.